how long did it take for you to go from 0 to 60K MRR with Kleo?
Dude, it took 53 days.
This is Rob Hoffman. He runs a Swiss startup making $400,000 a month. Today I invited him to share with you his 7-step playbook to launch a profitable bootstrap SaaS. This is the same playbook he is using right now to publicly launch Kleo. No theory, no fluff, just the actual strategies that took his company from 0 to multiple six-figure amounts. So if you want to learn how to find an idea, validate it, and launch it successfully, this episode is for you. So Rob, you came here with a crazy playbook that you want to share with everyone. You do 400K a month with Swiss startup, so that's the reason why we should listen to you. Can you explain us what the viewer will get at the end of this episode?
At the end of this episode, the viewer will learn our 7-step playbook for launching a profitable bootstrapped SaaS. And we actually have 3 businesses. 2 of them are SaaS and one of them is an agency. So you probably could apply this playbook to other types of businesses as well. But recently, we've been really focused on our SaaS companies, and this playbook has just worked over and over again. We are actually using this playbook to launch our SaaS Kleo to the public on January 22nd. And so we eat our own dog food. The concepts that I talk about and that I will talk about on this episode, we do them ourselves. They work. And so I want to be radically transparent with the audience and give them the sauce, tell them exactly what they can do to grow their own business.
And how long did it take for you to go from 0 to 60K MRR with Kleo?
Dude, it took 53 days, and it could have been faster, funny enough. But the way that we launch products is that we do a beta cohort of 500 people in the beginning. So I think we hit something like 30K around there, and then we capped it for a month because we wanted to speak with those first 500 users, stress test the platform, flag the important features that we could implement into the product for our second beta launch, do some bug bashing, and then we redid a second beta cohort of another 500 people a month later. So it was wild. Yeah, it was 61,000 of MRR in 53 days. Could have been faster, I believe, if we actually open it up to a larger beta cohort. However, I don't know if that's actually the smartest way of launching a product, and we can get into why that's the case.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you, I'm pretty disappointed about the fact that it's only like you did that in 53 days. I really think you could have done that in a shorter time, but yeah. Anyway, let's deep dive in your
Got it.
playbook because I think there's a lot of golden nuggets in it. I'm pretty excited to share that.
Hell yeah, let's do it. You want me to share my screen and dive in?
Yes, let's do that.
Perfect. This here is the Kleo launch playbook. If you don't know who I am, I'm Rob. I'm a real person. You can find me on X, LinkedIn. I'm trying to start a YouTube channel. I only have like 1 video on there right now. And we have 3 companies. We have Contact, which is an SEO agency, Mentions, which is an AI search SaaS, and we have Kleo, which is an AI content partner that helps you write content that is optimized for platforms like LinkedIn and X so that you can build an audience, get more customers, and also hopefully go viral. So that's who I am.
By the
And
way, I watched your video on YouTube and there is 26 views or something like that. And
there's
I was like, you're delivering in this video. You give a lot of things, like a lot of information. I'm like, yeah, you need way more views. So after that, go on his channel to give more view to Rob.
Yo, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's really kind. My philosophy with building a business or creating content is that you just have to ship things. And there is a common saying in the startup world where if you're not embarrassed of your first version of something, then you ship too late. So yeah, that video, I'm like filming in my car on the way to the gym. I'm just doing like anything to get it out. Didn't promote it at all, but I think that's the way. I think you just have to move fast. You have to have the courage to be cringe and have some fun with it. So we're gonna have some fun. on this episode. I'll tell you a little bit about how we use these concepts in our business. But yeah, the most important thing is that I want to make this super actionable and useful for the user. I was once in your position where I was trying to grow a bootstrap startup, if that's where you are in your journey. So hopefully this can make it a little bit faster for you. So there are 7 steps that we go through here. And I'm going to start at the beginning, which is to find a problem to solve. Can you see that nice and big on the screen?
Perfectly.
And there was a commenter, I don't know if you saw this on X, who responded to one of my recent videos and was like, this is not actionable enough because I posted a 1-minute video on X and it was just like a quick little showcase of what we're building right now. And I was like, you know what? You're totally right. I do need to make my content more actionable. That's always what I strive for. And I said, what do you want to see? And he said, I want to see the step by step. I want to know the goal of each step and I want to see an example. So that's exactly the way that I frame this because I think that is a helpful framework. So step number 1 is find a problem to solve. And the goal here is to find a problem that you yourself need to solve. You want to be your own first customer. An example of this was the first version of Kleo was actually a free Chrome extension. Not everybody knows this. This is the lore behind Kleo, where Jake Ward, my co-founder, him and I were growing on LinkedIn together, and he ended up making a Chrome extension for himself modeled after what Taplio and Tweet Hunter were doing for X, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And basically, what those tools let you do on X is you can go to a creator's profile and see what their top performing content is so that you can kind of copy that or take it and make it your own. And it helps you to create content that performs well on these platforms. Nothing like that existed yet for LinkedIn. So Jake literally spun that up. I think took him like a weekend. A developer that he knew from his hometown, he enlisted his help. He made a Chrome extension, used it for himself, was extremely useful. He sent it to me and a few other friends, and we were like, yo, this is incredible. We started sending it to other people, and basically, the validation came from the fact that people started using it. It was very organic. But the most important thing is that it solved a problem that he himself had and that I also had. I'm going to give you another example, though. And if this is not proof that anybody can create a software today, then I don't know what is. So my dad, who's 64 years old, recently learned how to vibe code because every time I come home to my hometown, we like to jam out about business. We were talking about vibe coding, and he was having an issue with his industry. He's a financial advisor. And long story short is there were some new rules that were introduced into that industry that makes it so that financial advisors have to submit more meticulous and compliant notes that explain why they make the investment decisions that they make. Financial advisors, they are up in arms. They're like, this is BS. Like, I'm spending all my time creating these notes rather than actually doing the work and servicing my clients. However, the rules are the rules. There's no really way around it. So what my dad did is he vibe coded this tool right here, Comply My Notes. It's all set up with Stripe and everything. He did it on Lovable. And what it does is it makes it really easy, quick, and intuitive to create compliant notes. And it just kind of like helps you to save time and makes it more easy. So he's solving a problem for himself. Who knows what'll happen with this? He's currently sharing it with other advisors. He's getting really good feedback from it. Maybe it'll take off. I think it's a really cool project. But the main point that I'm trying to make is that anybody can create a software these days that solves a problem that they have. And that's always the best place to start because you know that there is a need in the market for it.
Man, I'm jealous about your father. He actually shipped a vibe coded SaaS. Amazing. Something I want to add on that is that Peter Levers is in his book, Make. He answered a question that you're probably asking yourself right now is that what if in my life I don't have any problem to solve or I don't have any idea? His
Mm.
answer is your life is too boring, making interesting. And how do you do that? Is that go outside and learn something new. Learn to play guitar, learn to, I don't know, to go do an IROX, go do a marathon. And then as you do something new, you will encounter new problems in your life. And this problem can become a SaaS, an app, a mobile app, whatever.
Yeah, I love that advice. I think that most people need to take steps to lead a more interesting and extraordinary life. And as an example, what was it that led to Kleo? Jake and I met each other. How did we meet each other? Because we were both creating content on LinkedIn. And it's like that came from me just being a nerd and picking up hobbies like content creation, where I'm like, ooh, I see people creating content on LinkedIn. I want to do that. I want to learn the strategies behind copywriting, things like that. So yeah, I think that that is very sound advice. Get out into the world, do more, have niche hobbies, go be a nerd about something in your life. Okay, cool. So should we move on to step two?
Let's go.
Hell yeah. Awesome. So step two is validate it before building. Let me zoom out slightly. How do you validate? With a wait list. This is one of the biggest mistakes that I see most new entrepreneurs making, is that they create something that only they want. And if you are solving a problem that you have, there is a very high chance that other people are going to want it. However, there are cases, and sometimes you see this on Shark Tank. Do you ever see episodes where people have a problem that they're solving, but it's so niche? As an example, there was one guy who he had a product that allowed you to blow out candles on a birthday cake without spit flying everywhere. He was like, "Oh," like, it's so random. He's just like, "Yeah, my son's birthday party, he blew out the candle, with the lighting, you could just see, like, the spit flying from his mouth. It's kinda gross to eat the cake after. So we created this product," and it's like, "Alright, that product, pretty cool, but that's not really like a mass market product that is gonna really go anywhere." So you wanna validate it and make sure that this is something that a lot of people want and that can actually become a profitable business at the scale that you want it to be. Some people want like 10K a month. They just want like a small micro SaaS. Other people, they want to grow, for example, a SaaS to 10 million ARR plus. I'm talking about bootstrapping here mainly. Obviously, for VC backed, you want to go bigger. But the main thing is that you want to validate. And so the way that you validate before you build the product and spend a lot of time on it is with a wait list. And I'm going to be very specific here because people are like, yeah, I know I have to build a wait list, but how many people? How many people do I convert? How do I get people to the wait list? I'm going to go through all that. So the goal is that you want to have more than 1,000 waitlist signups. And what that means is that if you convert 10% of your customers, you should get roughly 100 customers. And if it's a $50 price point, that means 5K MRR, $100 price point, 10K MRR. For a lot of people, that's a dream. That is at least really good validation. And this is, I don't get these numbers from nowhere. These are some screenshots that I have, and I think this is actually from our launch mentions, which is our AI, our SaaS that helps you to see what your visibility is in LLMs like ChatGPT and rank in LLMs. That SaaS, we also grew very quickly. So it hit 20K of MRR in its first month. And when we launched it, you can see right here that we had a wait list of 3,624 people. And so if you kind of back out the math there, that I believe is like a 20% conversion rate of a $50 tool. So you have so $50 and you have roughly 360 people paying. You could round it up to 400 paying $50. That is about 20K a month. That is exactly what happened for us. And of course, you can also have other prices. We have a $50 price, $99 price. There's early bird specials. We'll get into that later. But this is in the ballpark of what you want to aim for. More than 1,000 waitlist signups. You want to convert roughly 10% of them. And that should get you started.
So you will talk later about how to get these signups, but I have a question about it is first, how long do you give yourself to get these 1,000 signups? And second, I forget the question, so answer the first one.
Perfect. Okay, really wonderful question. So we did that I think it took us 30 to 60 days to build that wait list. That's typically what we're looking at. You can roughly say like 6 weeks. However, I would be looking for movement within the first 30 days. So even within the first few weeks, we are publishing content that is driving waitlist signups. And I'll talk about this in just a moment. But we can see that our signups are just going up and up and up. And so you should already have a decent flow of subscribers to your waitlist within the first few weeks, within the first 30 days. I would say aim to build your waitlist for 30 days, 60 days kind of on the long end, because you also don't want to spend too much time doing it, or kind of 6 weeks right there in the middle. I think that's what we did actually, is about 6 weeks.
Perfect. Now I get the second question. What tool do you use for that? How do you do your waitlist?
We use loops. So there's a software called Loops that loops.so here. And this is where we just manage our wait list. And we also send emails from here. We also, for our newsletter, we use Beehive. Highly recommend Beehive. And I think we're going to migrate off of Loops, but this is what we did, at least in the beginning. It doesn't
Good.
quite matter, by the way, the tools that you use. I think a lot of people get wrapped up in the tools that you use. It's so much less important. If you're vibe coding, you can use Lovable or Bolt or Replit or whatever. Doesn't matter as much as people say. But yeah, that's what we used.
Perfect.
Okay, so step 3, create content to convert attention to emails. There's going to be a big objection in this section. You probably already know what it is, which is that when I talk about sometimes building our products on X, people are like, oh, you already have an audience. And so here is my retort, okay? Is that first things first, look, everyone has to start somewhere. We built our audience brick by brick, just like anybody else. And so I do advocate for building an audience. You're doing it. I'm continuing to do it. You should just start now. Here's a better answer though. A lot of the algorithms are kind of going the way of TikTok, where it matters less your audience size. It matters more the content that you create. And I'll give you an example. I think we met because I did a viral thread on X. I have a big audience on LinkedIn. I have about 80,000 followers on LinkedIn. On X, I just started, I think like 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, August.
Definitely, sorry?
August.
August. Okay, so I think that's
You signed
September,
up in
October,
August. So
November,
yeah.
January, like 5 months, let's call it. And I have like 9K followers on X. It's not a huge audience by any stretch of the imagination. But I started a brand new account and I was like, I know that despite having a new account, I can create content that serves my objectives. And I had, I think this was maybe like a month or so ago. So let's say like 3 to 4 months into a brand new account, I had a post go viral. It got 7 million impressions on X. And why is that? It wasn't because I had a big audience. I had like barely any followers at that point. It was because I learned how to craft content that goes viral and that converts. And the other thing is that there are plenty of people out there who have small audiences, but they actually do more revenue than folks with big audiences. And I actually know a lot of creators who have big audiences, like millions of people, and they can barely make money from them. Versus there are other people who only have a few thousand followers, but are absolutely caking it. And so it's not so much about audience size. There are a lot of other factors, but the main thing is just knowing how to craft content that converts.
How
And
do you do
so,
that?
here's how you do it. So you create content to convert attention to emails. I'm going to give you examples of content that we used for our products. First things first, though, is you want to be strategic. You create a content calendar. So this is leading up to the public launch of Kleo. So this is our content calendar to promote people to sign up for our waitlist, which we are currently building as I'm speaking, to publicly launch Kleo on the 22nd. And so the reason this is important is you got to get organized. Like if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. But let's get into the meat of things. Here are the types of content that we create. There are a few different silos, and to make it easy for yourself, it's always good to choose, let's say, 3 different types of content. Maybe one of them is like very top of funnel. It could be very story driven, founder driven. So something like this. This is me and my co-founder Lara. It's always good on LinkedIn to have a picture. One tip that I give is that you want to have a person front and center. I learned this actually from Lara, front and center in the picture. So I did this post as an example, which didn't perform as well. And you can see that we're kind of spread out. Like your eye doesn't really know where to go in the picture, rather than a photo like this that has a clear focal point. And this is a more story driven, founder driven post. It's kind of about us. It's about us spending 42 hours in London, and then we're sending people to the wait list right here. That's one type of content. However, the more powerful type of content is edu-selling. This is the type of content that really will drive conversions. My co-founder Jake is amazing at this, and here's an example right here. So this is the new SEO game. We use this to drive leads to our SEO agency and to our SaaS mentions, which is an AI search SaaS. And so what you're doing is you're taking a complex topic like SEO and AI SEO, and you're breaking it down in very simple steps for people. And you can see that Jake, he really breaks it down in like, level 1, level 2. He's specific. And then here is the icing on the cake, or this is the most important part, is that you're subtly selling your tool. So I think what a lot of people do is they are just pushing their tool and they're just like they're hard selling their audience. One thing that really works for us is just the art of the subtle sell, where your tool is kind of thrown in there almost like a little product placement. And so that allows the audience to trust you a little bit more. They don't feel like they're being sold to. Um, and yeah, that's number 2. So that's edgy selling.
Yeah, I see that a lot also in many like short form video. Like they do that a lot. Let's say how to get leads on LinkedIn, and they will talk about the step-by-step process, and the step 5 in the video will be, for example, outreach with Lemlist. And then the goal of this video is to bring people to Lemlist. So they will do that in each video. And that's exactly what you do, but in a written form. And I have to say that I never really saw that. So that's really
That's
cool.
such a good point, actually. That is such a good point because there's also videos that you see all the time on Instagram, like people being like, "Oh, like I had this crazy travel adventure, like this is the adventure of my lifetime." And, it started out, I just looked on this app and found, like they'll just seamlessly slip in the product so you can barely tell it's an ad. And that works. And I do think it's smart to take formats and concepts like that from other platforms like like Instagram and apply them to LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're spot on. So those are 2 types of content. Um, here's another one that I did where I broke down our exact meeting agenda that we use for all 3 of our businesses, which are all profitable, they're all bootstrapped, and we do them every quarter, and they're the most important meetings of each quarter. And I thought this might be interesting for other people out there who are trying to run their own business. And so you want to just think of things that are genuinely useful to your audience. And ideally, in an ideal world, the best posts are the ones like this, where, for example, if we're trying to sell Kleo, you want to do a post that helps people to solve the same problem that your product helps them to solve. So, Jake, as an example, is helping people with an AI writing workflow. A lot of people want to use AI to write content. So he's helping them do that. So he's gaining their trust. He's already adding that value. He's providing useful, actionable information, and then he slips in a CTA to our either it's a lead magnet or it's our webinar, or you're just embedding the tool subtly in the post. So these are a few examples. I'm going to zoom in here for a second. People can just pause the video if they want. They can screenshot these, Or you can just go to our accounts. This is probably the best thing, and take a look at the content that we're doing and just reverse engineer it and apply that to your own business.
Amazing.
How's that sound? Any questions there? Anything that I didn't go deep enough on?
Oh, a lot of things. No, it's really, really cool. Like, honestly, I love that you show the content because you can talk about concept for a long time, but without a concrete example, it doesn't mean anything. And I like that you do that.
Yo, Florian, here's one more tip is that I tell this to all of our Kleo users. We do like weekly calls with our users and we talk strategy. One thing that I tell to everybody is one of the most important parts of creating content that converts is an amazing hook. And a lot of people get this wrong. And here's the core concept that I want people to internalize. You have to stop creating selfish content. Laura, my co-founder, she told this to me one day. I was just posting like vlogs of my life and she was like, "Rob, you're creating selfish content. Like nobody gives a shit that you like woke up and had a coffee and then like, you know what I mean? Like who is Rob Hoffman? Nobody cares." It is so difficult to get people to care about you on the internet. It is almost impossible. Realizing that will help you with two things. Number one, it helps you to overcome the fear of being cringe because you realize that it's so hard to get people to care. You put out content, like the chances that people are going to care or remember it are so little. So just go out there and just be bold. But number two is that this sounds harsh, but the reason that I say this is because you have to make it about the audience. You have to stop making the content about yourself. Your life is interesting to you because it is your life. But you have to always think before you publish a post, why would somebody else care about this? And so here's the framework that I use. And I think that it yeah, here's an example, okay? When you're creating a hook, there are many different ways of creating a hook, which is this part of the post. It's the top part of a post above the fold, above the more button. If I can find an example like right here. And I like to have three ingredients in my hooks. This is one way of writing a hook. Okay, there's many, but this is one of my favorites. You write a hook that has three special ingredients: social proof, you create curiosity, and you promise a benefit to the reader. And so, as an example, social proof is this right here. We hit 62K MRR in 53 days. So people know that we are successful. We know what we're talking about. We have achieved something that they maybe want to achieve. Create curiosity. So I talk about a single meeting that will define our next 90 days at Kleo. People are like, I wonder what that meeting could be. And then a promised benefit to the reader is here is the exact agenda. So they know if they read this post, they are going to get some sort of benefit by reading that. And so, Florian, do you remember, Alex Hormozy? Do you remember his old videos when he first started and like nobody knew who he was and he had the mustache still?
Yeah.
Do you remember how he opened those videos?
I don't. Tell me.
He would have a hook. So he'd say, like, here are my top 5 sales tips or whatever. And then he would say, by the way, I'm Alex.
I have
My
nothing to
biz,
tell.
yeah, my business does $100 million of revenue and I have nothing to sell you. And so $100 million of revenue. At first, you're like, who is this guy with the mustache? Like, much like ourselves, right? Like, nobody knows him, so nobody cares yet. But as soon as you hear, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, he has a business doing 100 million in revenue, it's worth listening to what he says. So you want to have some sort of social proof that tells the reader why you are credible. And this can be experience that you have, like years of experience, it can be accreditations, it can be results that you've gotten for your clients or your business, anything like that, awards. Having that in there, create curiosity so they hit that more button, promise a benefit to the reader, and then fulfill that promise with a post that is very actionable. Okay, cool.
What I
Sound
like
good?
about it is that this also apply to any kind of content because, for example, right now I try to grow the podcast, and the thing is that I need a good packaging. And what I got, like the feedback I got from my title and my thumbnail, was that I was talking about the story of the person, and I wasn't telling the potential viewer what he would get. And as soon as I changed that, the video with David Park, I said something like, um, how to build a $1 million SaaS in, I don't know what, I don't remember the title, but this was directing, like targeting the potential viewer, and it wasn't the story of David Park. And this one worked way better than the other one. So this kind of hook that Rob is talking about, it works for any kind of content: LinkedIn, X, short form video, long form video, anything. And the last thing I want to say, you don't have to be a content creator. Creating content is also making more sales to your SaaS or to your app. It's not just to get followers, to get your personal branding. It's just like this post that it shows you convert to waitlist or convert to sales. And that's really important to remember.
Yes, there is a creator called JK Molina who says likes ain't cash. And I think that that is very salient where you want to remember what is the purpose of this post and stay focused. But yeah, I was gonna say like that video you did with David Park, and I love that episode by the way. And I think it was $10 million founder or something like that. Like $10 million founder shows you how to grow in $1 million SaaS or something like
Yeah.
you're saying. So it's like social proof where it's like he has built a $10 million SaaS and he's going to show you how to build in $1 million one. So it has, the core ingredients.
Yeah, and this sentence works so well because, as you say, social proof straight away, it stops the person scrolling. It's like, oh, $10 million shows you or explains you. You're like, oh, he explained me something. And then the video is below and you get it. Like you want to click and you want to wait for the answer.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It doesn't miss. It always hits.
Yeah, it does.
So that is step number 3. Step number 4 is creating an early bird discount to launch. So, what is the goal here? It is to maximize waitlist conversions. So, let's say that you have a waitlist of 1,000 people, 10,000 people, whatever. You want to get as many conversions from that as possible. And one smart way of doing that is by using the psychological principles of scarcity and urgency. This is just core human psychology. It's a sales strategy that it works now, it will always work because human psychology does not change. And I'm a firm believer that you should charge from day one. By the way, just as a side note, there's a lot of people who try to validate by having like a free tool or something like that. I think it just attracts the wrong type of audience. And if you have something that people truly want, they're willing to pay like $50 a month for it or whatever the price is. So here's how we do the early bird special. We basically open up our product to a beta cohort. And that means a closed group, in our case, of 500 users. The amount of users will depend on how big your waitlist is, probably. For us, it was 500. And so what we do is we go, the first 500 users, they're going to get a 50% discount on the product. You can do that for life so that, for life, they're getting like 50% off of their monthly subscription price. You can do it for the first year. But the key thing is that you want to constrain the supply relative to the demand. That's how you make money, right? You want to have more demand than supply. And this isn't just a sales tactic, by the way. There is a purpose behind having a beta cohort besides just getting more users. When you launch a SaaS, if you were to just slam that with 10,000 users, the tool is going to break. You don't know if your platform can support that many users. You're going to have all these requests from users are going to be reaching out. You're not going to have the ability to provide customer support to that many people. And so you want to start slow to avoid pissing people off. Get feedback and talk to your users, which I'll talk about next. Do some bug bashing, listen to your customers, start shipping more features that they want, and just stress test the platform. So it's important for various reasons, but it's also important just for converting the maximum number of people from your waitlist into customers. So to make this actionable, and any questions about that so far, by the way?
No, I wanted to say it's also really cool to get reviews from the first users because you talk to them and you spend a lot of time with them and you have them at the beginning, you make them happy so you can get reviews. And I think it's way simpler to do that with a small group than with 10,000 users straight away.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And like, you really want to be customer focused. And everything that you're saying, it rings so true because speaking to your customers, you're going to delight them. I'll get into this next actually, because I have I have a whole section on this. So I don't want to give away the sauce too early, but
Sounds
it's a
spoiled.
really good point, and I'm going to get into this in step number 5. So again, always trying to make this very actionable for the audience out there. Here's the exact email that we used. So pause this video right now, take a screenshot, steal our template, and you can see like there's only 239 spots left. So we open up 500. We're letting people know that these spots they're going to go in like a matter of days. And then you're sending follow-up emails like this one to be like there's only 300 spots left, 200 spots left. Here's what you can do inside. Here is the value that you get. You get an amazing discount. Here's a recording of a webinar, which I'll talk about in a moment. So you're adding value, you're giving useful content to them, and then you're saying secure your spot now. So this is one of the emails that we used.
Yeah.
So that's the early bird discount. We've done that for both of our SaaS launches, and I think that is a wonderful strategy. And now we're going to get into step number 5. Any questions about the early bird discount before we move on to the webinar section?
Now let's go to the webinar.
All right, so webinar. The webinar, the goal is the same. You want to maximize your waitlist conversions. So the main thing is that like you've done all the hard work of collecting these emails. So you want to convert as many of them as possible. And there's many strategies to do this. By the way, there are strategies beyond the webinar and the early bird discounting. One of my friends, Tyler, runs a company called Beehive, talked about a really good strategy that I love where he would like personally DM the people on the wait list and like, get on calls with each one of them. So if you have a smaller wait list, like just talk to your customers, try to provide them value. I think that's really, really cool. We had a slightly bigger wait list. And so we did a webinar because a webinar allows you to, it's like one to many. So it's a more scalable way of talking to your customers. And I think that it builds hype. I think that everyone should do a webinar when they launch. Alex Hormozy, he does webinars every time he does a launch. The last one did like $100 million or whatever, and like it just works. So you should start seeing deals or sales come in from your early bird discount emails and the email sequence that you are already putting out. So once you launch, you obviously don't want to just send one email. You want to send multiple emails. In the first week, you're probably sending an email every day, or at least like 5 out of the 7 days. You want to continue always emailing your list 1 to 3 times per week. But on your launch day, you want to do a webinar. So here is how you pull off a 10 out of 10 webinar. You ready?
Yes.
And here is Lara leading our webinar for our last beta launch, just like a little fun picture. So step number 1 is that you have an exclusive offer that is only available to webinar attendees. I think that we did one-on-one coaching sessions as one of our giveaways. We did access to Lara's community in her course. So you basically take things that would otherwise be paid assets, coaching calls or like one-on-one calls, digital products that you've created, access to a community, lead magnets, and you say, I'm going to make this available to the webinar attendees for free if you are one of the people who signs up on the webinar. Step number two is that you cap the number of people who are eligible for that offer. So if we have 100 people in a webinar, we're going to say we are going to do one-on-one coaching sessions with only 3 people or 10 people. And it's going to be like the first 10 people who sign up for our tool right now in the call. And then as people are signing up, you shout it out and you go, we got nine slots left. We have 8 left. And you're just creating that scarcity and that urgency. So you're providing value and then you are creating the demand and you're constraining the supply. The next one, number 3, is that I just went through this, is that every time purchases are made of your tool, you announce it to the webinar attendees because that creates FOMO and scarcity and urgency and also social proof. Number 4 is a live demo. So this is like the main meat of your webinar, is that the webinar is really the purpose of the webinar is to do a live demo of your tool. And then number 5, this is like a baller move. If you can pull this off, Lara did this, and it's like, it's the most baller thing you can do in a webinar is having a live testimonial on your webinar. So you bring a customer of yours onto the call and you do a little interview with them to ask, why do you like the tool? How are you using it? What value are you getting out of it? And that provides the ultimate social proof for other folks who are like that customer who want to use your tool.
I love that. I never heard this little strategy. Pretty cool.
Yeah, Laura like surprised us with that. She didn't even tell us, and we were just like, "Oh my god, like this girl's crazy. She's genius. It's such a boss move." So definitely recommend that. I've heard from other founder friends that this is one of the main things that helps with conversions on a webinar. So that's it. That's the webinar.
Do you use a Webinar Jam or do you use something else?
I Laura runs the webinars. I actually don't know what tool she uses, but Webinar Jar, is that it? It's called
Webinar
Webinar Jar?
Jam. Yeah,
Jam,
Jam.
Webinar Jam. Yeah, I think that's fine. Any of them are fine in the end. I've used what else have I used? Like I think you could just use like a Zoom meet on Calendly. You can set up group calls. So like I do group calls just on Calendly. But yeah, that's probably the right tool, honestly. Go use that one.
Perfect. And do you have any structure or maybe like a resource to actually how to structure a webinar?
I don't have any, let me think. Aside from this, I would just watch some of the OG people who do
Mm.
webinars and just copy what they do. So, a few people who do webinars extremely well. Russell Brunson is, of course, like the king of webinars. He has a few books, .com secrets. What is it? He has a few that are called like, yeah,
Yeah,
.com,
three of them. I think
like
I have them in
audience.
the yeah,
Yeah, they're good, right? And it's like, but you can also just watch one of his webinars on YouTube and just kind of like take notes and reverse engineer it. Alex Hormozy, obviously also an amazing person to watch because he sold $100 million basically on the back of his webinar. So I would just go watch some successful webinars and just take note of what they do. And you're going to see that they're doing a lot of these same concepts. They're going to have exclusive offers. They're going to have like a little countdown that shows like how many people have bought the product. They're probably going to have testimonials and social proof, live demos, these sorts of things.
amazing. Thanks.
100%, 100%. So, step number 6, we're getting to the end here, is talk to 50 customers. Jason Lumpkin, who is like the granddaddy of SaaS, he owns SaaSter, and everyone who owns a SaaS, like they read Jason Lumpkin articles. He says, talk to 50 customers. Like, don't talk to 30, don't talk to 40 and say that you talk to 50. Talk to 50. And I took that to heart, and I think that everyone should take that to heart. Talk to 50 customers. This is our calendar. So this is like obviously we blurred it out to respect people's privacy, but we literally spent a few weeks just like stacking our calendar with back-to-back 30-minute calls with our customers. You can do 15 minutes, you can do 30 minutes, but the important thing is I probably try to do 30 or 20. You want to talk to your customers, and this will achieve a few things. And you and I were touching on them just earlier. in the call. Step number one is that you want your customers to know that they are appreciated. That is going to help with retention. And I just think it's like the cooler way to be. It's like your your tool can only exist because of these customers. You owe everything to them. So let them know that. Like be upfront about that. Show that appreciation. Every customer you get, I heard somebody say this, I forget who, you should treat it as like a miracle. And so you want to talk to your customers and really like give them the time of day. So talk to 50 customers, but the other thing besides that is you want to identify bugs, so issues that they're having with the platform. You want to identify the features that they are most excited about or that they most want, and you want to take note of that and put it on the roadmap. And then, of course, you want to turn them into super fans so that they are telling their friends. You want to get great testimonials that you can put on your landing page and have case studies and testimonials to use as social proof. So, yes, talk to your customers. Here's a note, by the way, record all of the calls, use a recording tool. I use Avoma personally, but you can use Otter or like whatever. There's a million out there. You just want to have the transcripts and you want to organize the transcripts. You can actually feed them into AI. Like I did this with Claude, where I took all the transcripts, I fed them into Claude, and then I said, "Can you give me like all of these actionable insights? Tell me what are the most requested features, what are the bugs that people are reporting," and you can get like a little bit of a report. Then you can also use your transcripts and AI to build out an ideal customer persona based on your real customers.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. What I used to do with that is that I was also asking question like, what did you struggle with before using the tool, or what was your pain point? What did you want to solve with this tool? And this kind of question helped me build the perfect landing page for my tool, and also write the perfect content to actually touch this ICP, this avatar of my product. And yeah, again, I love this, and I love that you bring it back because talking to your customer is the best thing ever. And the last thing is that it makes you happy. It makes you really happy to talk to your customer because they are happy using your tools. And it's not only a number that you see in Stripe, it's like a real human using the tool you built. And I don't know why, but this is amazing. Like mentally, it's like a really cool thing to do.
Yeah, it's such a good point. By the way, that you get like sales copy and landing page copy directly from your customers. They'll tell you their problems. They'll tell you like what they're getting out of the tool and like why they love it. It just feeds everything. Like your customers should determine your roadmap, your sales copy. But yeah, like you said, like I love my customers. I give my personal phone number to all my customers. And I'm like, yo, you have a problem, you call me anytime. My WhatsApp is absolutely destroyed because I've given out my phone number to half the world at this point, but it's worth it because again, you would be nothing without them. And it is so gratifying to talk to them. And when they say, yo, like I love your tool, I'm getting a lot of value from it. There's no better feeling. And that's why we do this at the end of the day.
Yeah, by the way, you will get the phone number of Rob in the description.
Yeah, maybe if you sign up for Kleo, I'll give you my phone number. How about that? But yeah, it's a problem. Like at some point that's probably gonna bite me in the ass. I'm gonna have to change my phone number because I just can't keep up with all my messages. But for the time being, yeah, give me a call. So here are oh, by the way, I'm not gonna go through all of these, I don't think, because what I wanted to do is to provide this. By the way, I think we're gonna give this away to the audience. This
Exactly.
good.
Exactly. So in the description, you will not find his phone number. I know you're disappointed, but you will find the link to this playbook so you can download it whenever you want.
Absolutely. And so for the time being, if you're watching this video, well, obviously go to the description, download this. It'll have everything that you need. But I also want to just have this on here in case you want to pause the video, screenshot this, whatever. You're probably wondering, like, how do I do a customer call? What questions do I ask? Well, this is the exact structure that we use. So there you go. Awesome. So, final step. Are you ready?
Yes.
Super easy. You just repeat the launch cycle. It's just rinse and repeat. And so I'll give you an example. With Kleo, we did 2 beta launches, and then on the 22nd of January, we're doing our public launch. What this means is that if you were to go to the Kleo website right now, you actually cannot pay for the product. You cannot access or buy the product from the website. It's only available to beta users, but it's going to become available on the 22nd. And so what we do is we do 500 users who we open up the tool to 500 users. That is our first beta cohort. We do that for about a month. Again, that allows us to talk to customers, do bug bashing, all that good stuff that we talked about before. Then we open it up to a second cohort of 500 users. That is our second beta cohort. We also do a discount. We make the discount a little bit less for that second cohort. So the first cohort, kind of as like compensation for trusting us with the earliest version of our product, we give them the most extreme discount. We lessen the discount a little bit for our second cohort. We do another month or 6 weeks of just like beta testing, bug bashing, shipping features, etc. And then we do the public launch. So basically, by the time we do the public launch, we have done 2 beta launches and 1 public launch, so 3 launches. That also is a really great way to get customers because every launch you're using these strategies that I'm talking about, where you're building hype, you're creating scarcity, you're creating urgency, and you're getting customers onto your platform. Launches are a really great way to get customers quickly. And so, we did 3 launches with Kleo. And so it's just rinse and repeat, right? Like you just go through these exact same steps. You collect emails like as we're talking right now, we're collecting emails for our webinar that we're going to be holding on the 22nd, and we're going to offer like discounts and prizes and stuff on our webinar. We're going to continue talking to customers. This time, we're making some key hires as well of like customer success staff now that can make sure that we can support the additional influx of customers. And that's basically it. And then you're off to the races. You have a profitable, bootstrapped SaaS. You have a real company, and congratulations, you did it.
You just watched the video and you did it already. Man, that was
Ye-
beautiful. Thank you a
Yeah,
lot. I will not let you go straight away because I have a bunch of questions for you, but
of course.
thanks for this amazing presentation.
Thank
My
you.
first question is that you do the cycle again and again and again. Is there like a time where you can actually automate that? Because let's say you do 2 beta launch, you do 1 launch, and then in 1 year when your product does really well, do you automate all this process, or how do you do that? Do you keep doing the webinar yourself?
I would say as your organization grows, of course, you're going to start hiring more people who you can delegate stuff to. You're going to automate certain parts of what you do. So, as an example, you can't have the founder doing every single customer calls when you have thousands of users. So you're going to need to hire staff and train them, and they can take on those roles for you. I still think though that these principles, these 7 steps, you're kind of always doing them. I have friends who have very successful VC-backed SaaSes where they're doing like little launches where they're like, "Oh, we're releasing our most exciting features yet. We're having a webinar. Uh, you know, uh, we're gonna walk you through like the exciting new features, what it means to you, and give away prizes." So I kind of think that the launches in some way never end, but you're right that you do hire people and put systems in place just to like continue being able to support the growing number of users and just make it bigger and bigger. So like Beehive did the winter release recently. I don't know if you saw that. They were promoting it a lot on X. Like they did an amazing job of like really hyping up what they called the winter release, which is where they introduced some new products such as the ability to make digital products on the Beehive platform. And it was like I've never seen people so excited for the release of software products in an already existing platform. But this time the webinar was like the CEO Tyler in a studio in LA with like the whole team. So obviously it's like it's a different scale than us doing a webinar just from our kitchen table. So yes, you do you automate, you delegate, you build out a team, but these principles still apply.
Okay, amazing. Other question, what is the biggest mistake to avoid in this process? Like the one that will make you waste time or something like that?
I would say know, honestly, it happens at the beginning is like know when to quit. So if your product is not validated, don't go ahead with like the full 7 steps if you only have like 100 people on your wait list after like 2 months of promoting it. So I think that that's the main thing is that, do you know Mark Liu on X?
Yeah,
I
French
think
guy.
everyone knows him. Yeah, yeah. Really famous in the indie hacker community. I had a great conversation with him and he said, ship fast, but also quit fast. So you ship your products, you try to validate them, but you also have to like quit and start something new just as fast if that is not working. And I think that is like really good advice. And I see a lot of people who they're just like building and building and building, and they're promoting and oh, I got like one user. It's been like 2 years and I got like one user. I'm so excited. It's like, no, like know when to stop. There's no shame in it. Like we've all taken L's. I've tried to launch products and taken massive L's. Uh, the biggest L is like continuing with a project that is not validated.
I like that. That's why I asked you the question about the wait list. Like, how long do you give yourself to get this 1,000 people in the wait list? Because when do you stop? Like, if do you should you grind and like get this 1,000 no matter what, or should you stop before if you see that you struggle? And I think that's a hard question to answer, but that's why I asked you that.
It's a really
Uh,
big question because you could get 1,000 people on a wait list if you take like 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
yeah, 30 to 60 days, I would say.
Another question that I've not nothing to do with that, but I see you and your co-founder Lara, Jake, and Cameron, right? Everywhere. Like you are everywhere. What is the secret of that? Because I think this is part of your launch because you're also launching Kleo and you probably want to be everywhere to actually get emails, like applying exactly this playbook that you showed today. What is your secret?
So it's working. Number one, that's great because you never know from an outside perspective. So a few things I would say, and I'm going to try to make this actionable for you no matter what stage you're at. So in the beginning, when you're creating content, it is a grind and you just have to accept that because we put out a lot of content, right? That's why you see that we're everywhere. Um, we have obviously the money to invest in our content so we can build a bit of a team around ourselves. But in the beginning, it's kind of like you and I have both learned second languages, correct? And it is way more challenging than I think most people understand. I learned how to speak Spanish fluently. It was both the coolest thing I've ever done with my life, but also the hardest thing. And it takes like 10 times the amount of effort than people think that it does. And it's similar to going to the gym and like getting in shape. Like if you want to really like build muscle, you can't just go to like the gym and push weights around. It's like you have to eat properly and not just eat properly. You have to be counting your like macros and like counting your calories and whatever. And you go 5 times a week and you get a personal trainer and you learn the right like movements. And so most things that are worth doing take 10 times the amount of effort than people expect. And so why I say this is that content and building an audience is the same. In the beginning, it's going to take the most amount of effort and then there's going to be compounding effects. So what for us, I remember when Jake and I first met and we had small little audiences like 10,000 people or less on LinkedIn. And we would be hanging out. We would get Airbnbs together in like Colombia. We would go on little weekend trips to little towns. And this would be on like a Saturday. And I would get up at 5 a.m. in the morning to go to the bathroom. And there's Jake like sat at the kitchen table at 5 a.m. just like cranking out LinkedIn content just like an absolute machine. So it has to be a priority in your life in the beginning, and there's no way around that. As you get bigger, and if you have co-founders, having co-founders is great because then you can start to distribute your content a little bit amongst yourselves. So we're always like retweeting each other's content or reposting it or engaging with each other. The other thing is that if one of us does a really good piece of content, the rest of us are going to take that, create our own version of that, and then do like our own version of that post. So it creates efficiencies. I'm a big believer that like as many people in your organization who can create content should. So all of our co-founders, like even people on our team who are not co-founders, create content. We support that, and we make it easy by just giving each other the freedom to kind of like steal each other's content a little bit. Then as you
Amazing.
get bigger, last thing I'll say is that a lot of people they think that you could just um like if you have a business that is doing revenue that can support an investment into content, look, like we at this point, we spend like 30K a month on content. Like, and we're looking to grow that, by the way. Like we're looking to invest more and more and more. And so like it just takes more than what you expect, but the ROI is there and you cannot overspend time, energy, or money on building distribution. Like it's almost impossible to overspend on it. It's so valuable.
How do you spend this money in content?
Few different ways. YouTube, as an example, we just invested in an agency that's going to help us to put out YouTube content. We do a lot of content on LinkedIn and on X. Lara has a YouTube channel, but we want to get Jake on YouTube. Obviously, like I'm trying to get going on YouTube. I have this like lone video that I think is valuable, but the production quality is like pretty shit. So investing in other platforms, eventually, like one of our next big hires that I want to make is a social manager because we posted like really good content on platforms like LinkedIn and X, but we're not redistributing that platform onto threads. We're not redistributing it onto, Instagram as an example. We want to double down on like newsletter content. And so you need a team, whether it's like social managers or people who can help you to edit your videos or like those types of things. Really, really helps. How else do we spend our money? I mean, also wrapped up in that, by the way, though, is like our own salaries. Like, I'll give you an example. For our business, like, I think that's smart these days to have a co founder who their whole thing is like they have an audience or they're building distribution. So, for some of our businesses, like Jake's, one of his main things that he's focused on is just content. So it's like in the old days, you might have a co-founder who's like operational and then a co-founder or like they're good at sales and then a technical co-founder. But you can also have a co-founder where it's either like equity or salary that's going into them just focusing all their time on content. And that also is a cost to the business. Like equity salary of the co-founders is a very real cost. We spend a lot of our time as co-founders creating content.
That's the next question, actually. How do you split your time and your tasks between your co-founder?
So this is something that I am obsessed with recently is identifying everybody's superpower and then what is the highest leverage thing that each person can be doing. Here's the way that we go about it. We do analyses. So Jake and I pulled Jake aside about a month ago and I said, hey, let's just like recalibrate. I want you to give me feedback on everything that I'm doing well. I want you to give me feedback on everything that I'm doing poorly. And I want to tell you to tell me what are the things in the business that only I can do. What are my superpowers? And then I did the exact same thing for him. And then we looked at our time. We actually did like a spreadsheet where we literally like plotted it out in percentages. And we said, for this business, we should be spending 60% of our time here, 10% of our time here, 20% of our time here. And we got a sense as to, on a percentage basis, what is what are the activities that are the highest leverage, the 20% of activities that are going to drive the 80% of results. And then from there, once you know that breakdown, you can start to time block your calendar and you go, okay, Mondays and Tuesdays, the whole day, we're just creating content. And we don't let anything get in the way of that. Wednesdays is for product development. We're really, going to go into product manager mode and start thinking about features and UI and things like that. Uh, and you continue just breaking down your week that way. So we do that for all of our businesses, and it is a constant iteration. And you have to have like meeting cadences where you're meeting with your team and you're going, what are you spending your time on? We also use Trello, by the way, to track all of our activities. We do morning and night stand-ups where we go in the morning, we go, what are you focused on today? What are your priorities? At the end of the day, we talk about what we accomplished. So it's just that constant iteration of looking at what your priorities are, where they should be, and making sure that the way that you're spending your time aligns with the activities that are the highest leverage for each member of your organization.
So Jake is apparently really good at content. You are too. Lara is as well. I don't know about Cameron, but who is the technical person?
That would be Cam.
Okay.
Cam
So
is a CTO and technical wizard.
so we could say that you focus 75% on marketing and 25% on the product.
I would say Cam is like solely focused on the product. Well, he does actually do like content as well. Jake does a lot of product work. Like he does like the product manager and product owner work as well. So setting the vision for the product, doing wireframing and going like, this is what it should look like. And then works with Cam, who is the technical co-founder, to bring it to life. And then depending on the business, right? This is for Kleo. For Kleo, Lara is by far the person spending the most time on content. Like virtually all of her time is focused on content. So it kind of splits up differently between the businesses. But I would say, like, you should have at least one person in your organization who is spending at least 2 days a week just focused on content. Like, content and distribution is the big lever. And so spend a lot of time on that.
And I'm jealous about, what you post. You are in this cozy apartment with your team. It looks like you have fun. It looks really nice to have co-founder. I'm alone in my office here. How did you find them?
So funny enough, I actually met Jake on LinkedIn. I saw that this guy was growing on LinkedIn in the same niche, in the SEO niche that I was. And again, we had like very few followers at the time. I am an extrovert, which may come as a surprise, but I love talking to people. And actually, a lot of the best things in my life have come from just like a cold DM to somebody. So I cold DM'd Jake on LinkedIn and I was like, yo, you seem cool. Like, we should do a call. We did a call, we hit it off, and I said, I'm in Medellin right now. You should come out to Medellin. And he did. He bought a ticket and he flew out to Medellin. He came out and met me, and we became like best friends. And then we like over time became business partners. And we met Lara through LinkedIn. Cam is like a hometown friend of Jake's. But a lot of my friends and business partners and meaningful relationships I have actually come from just like DMing people on LinkedIn or like other social platforms.
I love that. And you built the three startup together.
Yes. Yeah. The breakdown is like a bit different for each of our startups. Like Jake and I are the two constants in all the business. Like we are uh like Jake and I own like the three businesses together with the other co-founders, but Lara, as an example, is not a co-founder in Mentions or Contact. Uh Cam is a co-founder in Mentions, but not in Contact. And so there's a bit of like a there's a different split for each business, but Jake and I are like the two constants across all the businesses.
Nice. Well, if you watch this video and you're looking for someone to take care of your content and distributions, I'm here. Send me a DM. I need co-founders and a nice team to work with. I saw a video where it's like a video about closing. Were you closer before?
Was I a closer? I was not. You know what? I actually wasn't a closer, but when I was like 19 or 20 years old, I did cold calling. And it was like this, I sold, you know, the little like flyers that go out on the tops of pizza boxes and they have like the little ads on them. I would cold call people and just sell that. And that was actually a really great learning experience because there's no better place to sell or to learn how to sell than just cold calling people and getting used to rejection. I think getting used to rejection is like one of the most important skills you can have in life. But yeah, that's all I did. I did like I have always done sales for the businesses that we own. And before this, I was also the chief operating officer of another like media company. And I worked my way up in that organization by just getting on the phones and being eager to go and sell and drive revenue for the business. So I was never like a high ticket closer, like whatever people hire these days. But I've kind of always done sales, I would say.
Well, the answer I was looking for because you really articulate, you know, to talk, and I feel like you know to sell, and I wanted to know where that come from. And how much did it help you in business, actually? That's my question.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Really kind. I I think it is the most one of the most important skills that you can have is learning how to tell good stories, learning how to speak. It's kind of cliche. Like everyone says, like, learn how to be a good storyteller, but then nobody tells you how to do it. Here's what I would say is that for me, I think it comes from a genuine love of people. I love people and I just genuinely find people fascinating. I love talking to people. And so because of that, as an example, when I'm in a conversation, I like to ask a lot of questions. And then as you know, like that is a great way to sell. Like question-based selling is one of the best ways of selling. And so I kind of think at the end of the day, if you have positive energy and you bring that like optimistic positive energy and a genuine desire to get to know the other person and like an insatiable curiosity, then it kind of comes naturally. You just by default, you ask a lot of questions. Being articulate and I didn't even know that I was articulate, to be honest. Like, you said it now. I think I was told it by like one other person like a week ago, and I'm like, oh, am I articulate? Like, awesome. I did not know that. So I don't know like where uh you could learn that from. Actually, sorry, you know what I do? I would sign up for Toastmasters or improv or something like that where you can just practice speaking. Because any speaking like any skill, it's just a muscle that you have to exercise. And so the only way you're going to get better at it is by practicing.
100%. Well, thanks. Last question to finish. What is an advice you would say to someone watching this video after all this playbook that you share?
Advice to somebody watching this video. I would say, can I give a few pieces of advice?
Of course.
Okay, sweet. So, number one, I love, as you pointed out, having co founders. I think a lot of people got wrapped up in the solopreneurship wave and they're like, I want to build a business by myself. And that's cool. There's a lot of people who get a lot of joy from that. For me, I am having the most fun that I've ever had being in like an Airbnb in a different place every month with my co-founders, grinding all day, like having fun, building a business together. There's so much enjoyment that you get from that. And I really do think that as cliche as it really is about the journey and enjoying the journey. Like life is so short. And especially now, like, I don't know how old you are, but we look about the same age. We're both like young people. You're never going to get this time back in your life. And so I think that you should really lean in and enjoy it. And one of the ways that you enjoy it is by sharing it with other people. So I am actually a big proponent of finding co founders who can support areas of the business that you are not good at. It makes you grow businesses faster. It makes it more fun. Number two, I would say is to just trying to figure out how to frame this. I think that you can call your shot more than you think. So I think you can set out as I did as an example, like last year and go, okay, this year, I'm gonna have the best year of my life. I'm gonna have the most interesting, rewarding, fulfilling year of my life. And then you take that and you write it down on paper and you start to plan out what that means. So for me, I was like, I'm gonna spend every month in a different city, in a different country. Like that sounds amazing. I want to meet interesting people like yourself. I want to build businesses that for me are exciting and fulfilling. And you kind of set out to do it, and then you just go out and do it, and you buy the ticket and you take the ride. And It's kind of like Peter Levels, right? Like go live an interesting life, be bold, be courageous, and just go live a wonderful life because everything is kind of that's the point, anyways. So that's my cheesy little wrap up, cliche speech. Um, and yeah, that's it, I guess.
I love your cheesy speak because I think it's
Cheers,
the
man.
best one, man. Working with people and have really nice adventures, just enjoying life. So thank you, Rob. I wish you the best, and I'm sure I will see you soon in this podcast.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you in Bali or wherever else we meet each other around the world.